Imagine stepping off a plane into the vibrant, humid, sensory overload that is Ho Chi Minh City. The motorbike swarms, the scent of iced coffee and street food, the sheer energy of it all. It is intoxicating. But then comes the reality check. You need a place to live. And you decide, in a sudden burst of independent bravado, that you don't need an agent. You are going to find an apartment in Saigon completely on your own. It sounds like the ultimate expat rite of passage, doesn't it? Saving money, dealing directly with locals, feeling like a true insider. But very quickly, that dream of local immersion can turn into a logistical labyrinth.
It really is a baptism by fire. The moment you bypass the middleman, you aren't just looking for a physical space anymore. You are stepping into a complex web of cultural nuances, unspoken rules, and a communication style that can feel completely alien if you aren't prepared for it. People think the biggest hurdle is just finding the listing online. In reality, that is the easiest 5% of the journey. The real challenge begins when you hit send on that first message to a local landlord.
That first message is where the illusion of a simple transaction usually shatters. You write this beautifully polite, paragraph-long inquiry in English, run it through a translation app, and wait. What you get back is a single word, no, or maybe just a thumbs-up emoji. It instantly makes you wonder, did I say something wrong? Are they angry? Is the place even available?
This is the classic first trap. In many Western cultures, business communication is wrapped in layers of polite padding. We use a lot of words to soften our requests. In Vietnam, especially in fast-paced business environments like Saigon, directness is efficiency, not rudeness. When a landlord replies with a simple okay or no, they aren't being hostile. They are likely busy, managing multiple properties, or simply translating literally from Vietnamese, where context and honorifics don't always translate smoothly through an app. If you translate, "Is this price negotiable?" directly, it can sometimes read as a demanding, "Lower the price." That immediately sets a defensive tone before you've even stepped foot in the building.
That makes total sense. It is all about the subtext, and it's not just the tone. It's the platform itself. If you are trying to navigate this via traditional email or direct phone calls, you are already putting yourself at a massive disadvantage, aren't you?
Absolutely. In Vietnam, everything runs on Zalo. It is the lifeblood of daily communication, business, and, yes, real estate. If you are trying to DIY your rental search without Zalo, you are essentially trying to run a marathon in flip-flops. Why? Because Zalo gives you a written paper trail. It allows you to translate messages in real time, take screenshots of agreed terms, and keep a permanent record of what was promised. If a landlord says over a phone call that the rent includes water but later forgets, you have no leverage. If it is in a Zalo chat, it is practically a soft contract.
A soft contract, I like that term. But let's talk about the hard contracts, or rather, the negotiations that lead up to them. This is where things get really fascinating from a psychological standpoint. Many expats come in with a very transactional, almost adversarial approach to negotiation. They think, I'll start with a ridiculously low offer, they'll counter, and we'll meet in the middle. Why does that strategy so often backfire in Saigon?
Because it ignores the concept of face and relationship building. In Vietnam, business is deeply personal. A landlord isn't just renting a piece of concrete, they are letting a stranger into their property. If you come in with an aggressive lowball offer, they won't see it as a business opening. They will see it as a lack of respect. And instead of countering, they will simply stop replying. They will ghost you. They would rather wait for a tenant who respects their space and their pricing than deal with someone who feels high maintenance from day one.
So how do you actually negotiate effectively without crossing that line? How do you show respect while still looking out for your wallet?
You shift the conversation from a battle over price to a mutual exchange of value. For example, instead of just asking for a direct discount, offer something of value to the landlord first. If you are planning to stay long-term, offer an 18-month contract instead of 12. Landlords value stability over almost everything else. A vacant apartment for 1 month represents a massive loss for them. If you guarantee them security, they are much more likely to drop the price.
That is a brilliant leverage point. What about other non-monetary negotiations? If they won't budge on the actual rent, what else can we put on the table?
Think about the overhead costs. In Saigon, rent is often just the baseline. You have management fees, security fees, internet, and cleaning. If the landlord refuses to lower the monthly rent because they want to keep their listing price looking high, ask them to absorb those extra fees. They might pay the management fee or include high-speed internet for free. To your bank account, it is the exact same saving, but to the landlord it feels like a much easier concession to make. Another great angle is asking for physical upgrades. If they won't drop the rent, ask for a better mattress, a desk for working from home, or a newer air conditioning unit. An energy-efficient AC can save you a fortune on your monthly electricity bill, which is a massive hidden cost in Vietnam.
Let's double down on that electricity point because that is a classic trap for the unwary DIY renter. People see a great rent price, sign the papers, and then get a utility bill at the end of the month that makes their jaw drop. How does that happen?
The electricity rate in Vietnam averages 3,000 to 4,000 dong per kWh, but some landlords charge a higher flat rate of 4,500 to 5,000 dong. Running an old air conditioner can make the extra cost add up quickly. Always ask if you pay the state or building rate and have the exact rate in the contract.
It really highlights the danger of rushing into things. You find a beautiful place, the aesthetic is perfect, you love the neighborhood, and you just want to sign and get it over with. But once you are handed that multi-page contract, and it is entirely in Vietnamese, the pressure is real. You are standing there, the landlord is waiting with a pen, and you feel this immense social pressure to just sign. What is the survival strategy here?
Under no circumstances should you sign a contract on the spot if you cannot read it. It sounds obvious, but the social pressure to be polite and agreeable is incredibly powerful. You have to resist it. Always ask for a digital draft of the contract at least 24 hours before the signing date. This gives you time to run it through translation software, analyze the clauses, and consult with friends or local professionals.
And what are the absolute red flags we should be hunting for in that draft?
Temporary residence registration, Dang Ki Tam Tru, is the landlord's legal duty in Vietnam to avoid issues with visas, bank accounts, or fines. The contract should state the landlord will complete registration within a week of your move-in.
That is a non-negotiable. What about the deposit? That is another area where things can get incredibly messy when you are leaving.
The deposit return policy must clearly state when and in what currency you'll get your money back, and what counts as wear and tear versus damage. Without this, normal aging in a tropical climate like Saigon could cause your entire deposit to be withheld.
It really makes you realize that renting an apartment isn't just a financial transaction. It is your first major cultural negotiation in a new country. It requires a balance of assertiveness and deep empathy. You have to understand the landlord's perspective, their need for security, respect, and simplicity, while protecting your own rights.
In short, going DIY isn't just about saving money. It's how you truly learn to live in Vietnam. It pushes you out of your comfort zone, teaching you patience and the subtle art of local communication. When you finally hold that key, knowing you handled the deal, sorted the paperwork, and built real trust with your landlord, it's deeply rewarding. You're no longer just an expat watching from the sidelines. You've truly built a home here.
Renting in Saigon can be overwhelming, but with patience, the right tools, and help from locals or forums, you can turn the process into a smooth experience. Your ideal home is out there. Just take it step by step.